Welcome back to the channel. It is 2025 and the cost of living has been out of control for many. Housing costs are up, insurance, groceries, they are all on the rise. And this brings into focus Americans' biggest monthly expense, which is their housing costs. And more particularly, is it better to rent or own? And even more specifically, how this relates to Casper, Wyoming. But first, let's start off by watching this video about the current rent versus buy market, and then I'll give my thoughts and we will go from there.
Did you buy or rent in 2025?
I mean, I don't know, that's a difficult question because it's really location specific. I mean, that's a very difficult question. I think it depends on how much personal satisfaction. If you, just from a financial point of view, let's say you have no personal satisfaction in owning versus renting. You just want to make a great financial decision. I'd probably rent. I'd probably rent for a while. I don't think real estate's probably going up, maybe flatline for a little bit. If you can get a good rental, then rent. I don't know why people always think, oh, I don't want to throw my money away, in rent. I mean, if you own, you're throwing your money away on interest at a bank. It's no different. I've never understood the argument why owning is inherently better than renting, unless you care about it, unless you factor appreciation. But if you can rent for, $6,000 a month and it's going to cost you $9,000 a month to own, unless you think interest rates are going to go way down and you refinance, or you get a really good deal, I would probably just, stay renting until things look like they're a little bit more optimistic or positive. And it really, again, it's very location specific. Yeah. I would not buy in all these areas that blew up: Miami, Austin, Las Vegas, Nashville. I wouldn't get near those places. Right now.
Okay, so obviously this is the broker and owner from the Oppenheim Group, which you probably recognize from the show Selling Sunset. And his brokerage specializes in selling luxury homes in Southern California. So his perspective may be a little bit different, but I do agree that renting is going to be very area specific. And your decision to rent or own is going to vary based upon several different factors. So how does this relate to Casper, Wyoming? Well, Casper, Wyoming isn't the cheapest place to live, but it also isn't the most expensive. According to U.S. News, it's ranked as the 15th lowest cost of living state in the nation. And, the cool part about Casper, Wyoming is you can still find apartments in our area for around $1,000 a month, according to apartments.com. But here's the downside that many are realizing when it comes to renting. You get what you pay for. Now, I'm not saying that every apartment in Casper that rents for $1,000 a month is bad, but it truly comes down to supply and demand. There is more demand for rentals at or under $1,000 a month. So that means that an apartment for $1,000 a month may not have all of the updates or amenities like in-unit laundry or air conditioning that units at higher price points may have. So a rental at $2,000 a month would probably have expectations of greater amenities and possibly, things like in-unit laundry. And if you're renting something closer to, $2,000 or $2,500 a month in Casper, you can bet that your landlord wants to keep you happy. So there may be a different level of customer service. But at those rental rates, let's ask this question: does it just make sense to buy? The median rental in Casper, Wyoming costs around $1,322 a month, according to Zillow. And yes, when you're renting, you aren't worrying about maintenance or property taxes or insurance. You get a leak, you get to call the landlord. And yes, you do have some flexibility with renting too. But don't confuse flexibility with stability. Your housing costs aren't fixed with rentals. Landlords are passing on to their tenants their cost increases every time they do a major repair or experience a significant increase in their property taxes or insurance. Landlords are into rentals to make money, plain and simple. It's an investment for them. Another factor to consider with renting are the challenges with pets or finding space or parking for things like campers, toys, or additional vehicles, and not being able to customize the space to what you need. Something else that renters have to keep in mind is that once this slower market starts to turn around, there's a strong likelihood that some landlords may just decide to cash out and sell their rental properties, just like we saw in 2017 and in 2021, which leaves renters scrambling for a new place to live. The current median list price for a home in Casper is around $347,000 according to Zillow. Let's break that down in terms of what a payment may look like in purchasing a home at $347,000 with this caveat. I am not a lender or a financial advisor. So staying on the Zillow train, let's use their mortgage calculator to run a quick mortgage estimation. So with 5% down at a 6.45% interest rate, you might be looking at a payment of around $2,400 a month for a home costing around $347,000. And let's see what we can get for around $347,000 in Casper. As you can see, we've got quite a few options available. So what are the perks to owning a home right now, especially in Casper? Okay, number one, you're fixing your housing costs. Yes, your property taxes and insurance may increase, but usually those increases commensurate with your housing appreciation, which means you're gaining equity. Number two, it's a hedge against inflation. There's an old saying that the best time to buy was yesterday. The unfortunate reality is that over time, the cost of goods and services do tend to increase, unless you're a flat screen TV. My first flat screen TV in the early 2000s, I want to say costed us around $4,000. And now you can pick up a flat screen TV on a Black Friday special for like $200. It's wild. Number three, there are also tax benefits to consider with home ownership, like being able to write off mortgage interest. Number four, home ownership also gives you the freedom to modify the home to your needs. You can paint walls, move walls, add shelving, and do to the home what you want.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Number five, another perk to home ownership is the ability to borrow against it once you have enough equity. So if you run into a financial emergency, you have a rainy day fund built right into where you live. Number six, another big item to consider in home ownership is that statistically, homeowners are wealthier than renters. Research from Habitat for Humanity cites this. U.S. homeowners have an average net wealth that is 400% higher than that of renters with similar demographics and earnings, and home equity represents the largest proportion of wealth for U.S. households. Also, research has shown a correlation between home ownership and increased wealth, with each year of home ownership tending to be associated with an additional $9,500 in net wealth on average. Number seven, the final and most important perk is that if you pay off your home, you are truly living the dream of having a big fat zero for your housing costs minus the taxes and insurance. And the decision of how and when to pay off your home is entirely in your hands and on your timeline. Other less considered factors to remember with deciding whether to rent or own are going to be upfront expenses, such as your first and last month's rent and security or pet deposits with rentals, or your down payment and closing costs associated with purchasing a home. Now, in today's market, it's challenging to negotiate your upfront costs when it comes to a rental with a landlord. But when it comes to negotiating things like closing costs for buyers, most sellers are willing to play ball in this market. Now, when I'm speaking to folks about moving here to Casper and they are weighing the options of renting or buying, I like to go into their specific situation. If a client is unsure of where they will be in 2 or 3 years, or is unsure if Casper is where they really want to live, then renting is definitely the better choice. And if you're moving here, but you're still in the, dating phase of your relocation journey, don't marry a house. Buying in today's market requires playing the long game. And by playing the long game, I mean planning to stay in your home for at least 5 years. Things have cooled off over the last 2 years in our housing market, and while there's plenty of optimism of demand for housing coming back in 2026, no one has a crystal ball. So play the long game in home ownership, enjoy the appreciation even if it takes some time, so that your home is a blessing and not a burden. So in wrapping up, I want to look at one final video that I think highlights a great approach to real estate right now.
Short-term renting is not a problem. Long-term renting is a problem, and here's why it's a problem. The property that you're living in is going to go up in value in the next 10 years substantially, and the landlord is going to benefit from that, not you. So short-term, I'm all about renting. When you're broke, you should rent until you get yourself straightened out. Don't buy a house just because buying a house is a good thing, because it's not a good thing when you're broke. But long-term, home ownership stabilizes your largest line item in your budget, locks in your monthly cost, and you have this large asset that is going up in value.
I think Dave Ramsey nails it. Use renting as a tool and a stepping stone into home ownership. Buy smart and buy when you can afford it, and know that when the time is right, I would love to help. I'm Summer Robbins, a local realtor and transplant to Casper, Wyoming from the not so golden state of California. And it would be my honor to help you make Casper home just like our family did almost 4 years ago now. So don't be a stranger when the time is right. Reach out and let's schedule a Zoom and see how we can make this move your best one yet. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that way you can always catch my latest videos about Casper. Now, with that, please take care, and I will see you in the next one.